We are back with another Brittany's Bites this week, and we're making another Southern staple, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a twist on it. Of course, you know, in the height of summer when the tomatoes are so good, we wanna find out all of the ways we can use them. I've actually already used up my Granger County tomatoes, so I had to go to the grocery store for these. I know, how dare I? But I had to get some tomatoes to make this wonderful dish. It's going to be a twist on a tomato pie. I know lots of you have recipes for your own tomato pies. I have tried to make it myself over the years. It's never really turned out great. So I'm going to do a fresh tomato tart instead, using puff pastry. And I'm also going to do a nod back to a recipe I've made before with whipped feta that I made sort of like a bruschetta, but I'm going to now use the puff pastry and make it into a tart. So we're going to combine all the ingredients together, but start by slicing up the fresh tomatoes. And then you're going to put them on a pan, a cookie sheet, with a layer of paper towels. Sprinkle them with salt to draw out that liquid so that it doesn't get too soggy as far as the puff pastry crust. So I'm going to go to that step, let it sit for a little bit, get the other ingredients ready to go, and then we'll move on to the next step. It's been about 15 minutes now, and the tomatoes are doing a great job of having all of the liquid, or most of it, ooze right out because of the salt I sprinkled on, and it's soaking into the paper towels right now. So we're gonna put those aside still and let them keep doing their thing. Now, I took a puff pastry sheet. The little boxes that you buy at the store come with 2, you just need 1. You could double this if you want. In fact, I have way more tomatoes than I'm gonna need for this, so I might end up doing that. But here's just 1 sheet. You unfold it once it's thawed out enough to touch, and then you roll it out a little bit. And you can also cheat it with your hands a little bit too, because you want to sort of get as much area and space as you can. Then you're going to take a sharp knife and go around the edge so that basically we can create a little crust. So you just score it, don't go all the way through. So just around each edge. I'm gonna go like that because I want a lot of room for my tomatoes and that ricotta feta filling that we're gonna make. So here we go. Let's see how accurate I can be meeting the edges on both sides. 1 more. Okay, this will also give us the guidelines for where we're gonna spread that cheese mixture and where we're gonna line up the tomatoes as well. So I left just a little edge. You could do a little bit more if you'd like, but I'm gonna move on to the next step, grab my food processor so we can get things blended up and ready to go for the filling. Now it is time to focus on our filling. So it's just gonna be a couple of ingredients here. We've got some ricotta cheese, some feta cheese, and then we're gonna put some spices in. I think I'm gonna do salt and garlic powder, but also sprinkle in a little Italian seasoning. I just feel like doing that. And it's gonna be an eyeballing it thing. I think about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of each of these, but it's pretty small. So I'm gonna do 1/4 cup, I think, basically just equal parts of the ricotta cheese. So I'm just gonna kinda eyeball it and put some into my food processor here, and then sprinkle in about 1/2 of this feta cheese. And then a little bit of garlic powder, making sure I have the right side. Sprinkle, sprinkle. That's good. Little salt. A lot of salt. And then a little bit of the Italian seasoning. Ooh, I had a little heavy hand with that one. I'm using love to measure. All right, so I never get this thing on right. Let's see. Okay, now we're gonna pulse it up, make sure it gets all nice and creamy. Okay, I think we're pretty well blended, or as blended as we're gonna get it. So I'm gonna take it right off of here. Just grab out carefully. Ooh, I don't wanna lose some of that cheese. The blade here. And then, I will switch spots with this. Okay, we're going to spread this on now, and it smells so great. So we're gonna try to keep it within the little border edge here, but you know, if you make it outside of it, it's fine. It's all gonna bake in the oven and be fine. So I'm just going to try to carefully spread this out, and then we'll move on to the most important part, right? Putting the tomatoes on. one more step before we get things in the oven, and that's finally to put the tomatoes on. So you can arrange these sort of next to each other. You can overlap them a bit, pick whichever ones that you think are best. Probably use ones that are all around the same size. So I think I'm gonna go like this and just overlap a little bit. Doesn't this look great? I'm gonna do, yeah, I like a little overlapping. Here we go. I'm gonna get a big chunky one in the middle there. And then, oh, this is gonna turn out to be almost just perfect with the tomatoes I'm using. I kind of like these little babier ones on the side. Okay, there we go. Now we have 2 left we're just gonna have to eat. We've got all of the tomatoes ready to go. The only last thing you're gonna do, and this is not a necessary step if you don't want, but a little egg wash around the edges. You know when puff pastry has that nice golden brown shiny look? It's because of egg wash. You just basically mix 1 egg, beat it together with some water, and then we're just gonna go along the edge of the little crust that we put on earlier with the scoring with the knife. Okay, all the way around. And again, I had the oven preheating behind me to 425 degrees. It's all ready to go, so I'm just gonna pop this in the oven for 20 minutes. It's that quick, and then we'll just do a few more little garnish toppings at the end and be ready to finally give this a taste. It is ready to go in the oven now. We have the tart out of the oven and ready to go. It smells fantastic in here, and just look how it turned out. A nice golden crust on the puff pastry. You can still see it steaming. I let it sit for just a couple of minutes before I transferred it onto the cutting board here, but the cheese got a little melty, the tomatoes cooked down a bit. Now we're just gonna top it, and this is, up to you how you wanna do it. If you just wanna sprinkle some salt and pepper, great. It'll be great as is, but I like a little kick, so I'm going to sprinkle on a little bit of red pepper flakes. Not too many. That's pretty good. I do love spice though. And then I'm going to do a little drizzle of olive oil. Gotta have that. Some good olive oil. Olive oil that you would use for topping rather than cooking. Okay, and then flaky sea salt. Gotta have some of that. I thought about, at the end, maybe doing a little bit of balsamic glaze, but I don't want to overwhelm the taste of the tomatoes quite yet. I might take a bite and then decide if I want to do that serving it, but the tomatoes are the star, right? Then I have a few little wispy leaves of basil I got out back. Unfortunately, I made pasta last night, so I already snipped off most of my leaves, but I've got a few that I'm just going to stick in here and make look very nice and pretty. More for the eye, because we eat with our eyes first, right? So I'm just gonna pop these around. Oh, I can hear it sizzling. And it smells so great. This can be an entire meal, or you can serve this up as a side dish. And again, top it with whatever you'd like. I think that will do it for me. How fantastic does that look? I hope you give it a try. If you would like this Brittany's Bites recipe, you can go online right now to WBIR.com. We'll see you next week.